Hello. So, I get this question occasionally, and I've gotten it quite a few times recently. And it's a very good question about utilizing self talk. If you're familiar with my stuff, you know that I'm a huge proponent of self talk just for basic stress management. I'm also a huge proponent of self talk for just changing how you feel. And I'm a huge proponent of self talk for better, actually manifesting what you want in your life. I made a recent video about this. I'll link it above and below probably. But also, if you read The Joy of Not Thinking, I get into more specifics about it. I've made podcast episodes about the power of out loud self talk. It's just a huge thing, a very, very helpful tool. But the question that I occasionally get and have been getting recently is I basically say talk to yourself however you want, and do not be afraid to use negative self-talk. And in the law of attraction community, of course, there's often this fear that if we use negative language, if we're using negative self-talk, we're then going to manifest what we're speaking out loud. So in other words, if you say, I don't want that to happen, it's going to happen because you're speaking it, and you fear it happening, so it happens. It's like the law of reversed effort. Like your worst case scenario ends up happening. And that's not going to happen when you utilize self-talk in the way that we're talking about here. And again, you can use self-talk as far as I'm concerned. I go over this in The Joy of Not Thinking. In any way you want. You can use very loving out loud self-talk, very humorous out loud self-talk, very soft out loud self-talk, very loud out loud self-talk. But let's specifically talk about getting kind of negative. This is what I want you to understand. Emile Coué, who really talks about suggestion and making statements and affirmations better than anybody as far as I'm concerned. He was all about, he said it's fine to use negative statements. If you want something not to happen, then you just say, I want this not to happen. That's a negative statement. He didn't say by saying something's not going to happen that you're going to do it. No, he said if you think something's not going to happen, if you fully think that, or if you think that rapidly and consistently, it's not going to happen, because that's what you're suggesting to yourself. What often occurs, and why people get the opposite of what they want, why the law of reversed effort kicks in here so easily, is that you say I do not want to get stuck in traffic today. I don't want to get stuck in traffic. And then you get stuck in traffic. It's because after saying you didn't want to get stuck in traffic, the next 10 thoughts you have, the next 100 thoughts you have are saying, oh, I'm probably going to get stuck in traffic. But if you really affirm to yourself, I do not want to get stuck in traffic today, and you just drop it, you stop thinking about it after that. Or you just, whenever the thought comes up, you immediately mitigate any negative thought about you getting stuck in traffic by saying, no, I'm not getting stuck in traffic today. You're probably not going to get stuck in traffic. Now, are you not going to get stuck in traffic because you're just affirming and you do nothing else differently? Perhaps. But more likely, you fucking make sure you leave 10, 15 minutes earlier so you miss that rush hour traffic. You do what you need to do not to get stuck in traffic. Or for instance, if you say I do not want to lose my composure around that person. I do not want to lose my composure around that person. The normal tendency for a lot of us is then to, even though you have those thoughts that you don't want to do it, then your imagination takes over inwardly, your silent inner voice, and it's saying, oh, I can't handle it. I'm going to lose my composure. And when you finally meet the person, no longer are you asserting, oh, I don't want to lose my composure. Your inner voice is saying, oh, you're going to lose your composure. This is too hard. This is too hard. This is too hard. And you get overwhelmed by that inner voice and you lose your composure. But if you actually fully, wholly assert, I'm not going to lose my composure, you're not going to lose your composure. Or chances are, if you do start to lose your composure a little bit, you're going to be able to pull yourself back so you don't lose it fully to the degree that you feared. So negative self-talk saying what you don't want to happen is not going to happen, making those kind of assertions is totally fine. Another person we can reference, and we did a podcast episode about this, is H. Emily Cady, who we look at as this like very, very spiritual law of attraction teacher, and all about God and resting in the assurance of God. When she really felt like she needed something outwardly to manifest, outwardly to happen, she would forcefully assert it was going or not going to happen. H. Emily Cady talks all about negations in her work, making negative statements. And, a way to look at this too is like Mary Baker Eddy, she, in a lot of New Thought stuff is based on this kind of thinking, is that like there's truth and there's falsity. And the falsity is these inner thoughts of lack, of what you don't want to happen, right? And thinking that it's going to happen, right? But when you use your loud outer voice, your affirmative, big boy, big girl voice, and you're speaking out loud to yourself, you are truth. So you're wiping away that negativity. I know we like to be fair, we like to be objective, we like to understand where our thinking is coming from, but it also can be super helpful, at least occasionally, to recognize that you've got a lot of bullshit going on in your head, and just to recognize that you have more going on in who you are than just this bullshit in your head. You are the truth itself that you seek. And you can access this truth that you seek by asserting out loud with conviction what you want or do not want to happen. You can basically say, fuck this shit in my head. This is how it is. This is how it is. You understand? Negation, if you do it in a directed manner where you are asserting what you want or do not want to happen, is your friend. It is a wonderful tool. And if you think about how H. Emily Cady used it, if you think about how Coué used it, how they both used it a lot and taught it as a tool to feel better and to manifest a better life, then I think you're going to feel more comfortable using it. Don't worry about this stuff. It's like, I can't think I don't want it. I can't say I don't want it because then it's going to happen. Fuck that shit. Don't get overwhelmed. Don't get overwhelmed by your imagination, That's what happens. We all get overwhelmed by our imagination. So we can't do it. Guess what? Fuck that. You can do it. Start asserting that. I can do it. And you might not believe it at first when you start speaking out loud that you can do it. But if you keep on asserting it out loud, firmly, you're going to realize that, oh my gosh, like I can do it, or something's going to happen. I feel okay. I feel better. So yeah, if you feel uncomfortable using negative statements, a way to look at it is that if you're speaking out loud and using a negative statement, it's more like you're wiping the slate clean. And so all that delusional chatter, you're just wiping it clean. It's not that you're like, these things aren't on even footing. You understand? Like the bullshit that's just rumbling in your head that's going negatively, it's not the equivalent of the assertive, like motherly or fatherly, forceful, assertive self-talk that you're saying out loud. That's like on a whole different plane. Like it transcends the crap in your head. So I'll say anything to myself because I'm coming at it from a place of like, this is the truth. And the stuff in my head that's bothering me is just, it's meandering. It's bullshit. And it's all right if the bullshit's there, but guess what? I'm going to fucking get rid of it right now. And I am going to get rid of it right now. Speaking out loud allows you to do that. Negating, saying, this shit is not going to bother me as much. This stuff is not going to bother me at all. This stuff is not going to happen right now. This stuff is not going to happen any longer. Asserting that stuff in your life consistently, I think it's helpful. I think it's a good tool. I don't think it's something to be scared of. I think it's something to utilize. And the more you utilize it, the better you'll probably feel.